What's going on, everybody? Welcome to a brand new show that we are putting out. It's called For All Nerd Kind. I'm one of your hosts, Cousin Ryan, and with me is my amazing co-host. Go ahead and
My name's
introduce yourself.
Josh. Thank you for having me, buddy. I know I'm talking like I'm a guest, but I know we're leading this together. But like I said, you are the man behind everything. So I suppose that makes me the talent, but
Hey, you're the
we'll go
talent.
from there.
Well, I look at it this way. I am the giant Iron Man fan. I got the tattoo and all that fun stuff. Iron Man there. Iron Man here, and I needed someone, and what I wanted is you as my friend. You're the giant DC fan, and so I felt like it was perfect. Gave us both sides of the comic book world. And before we get into this, cheers to the new adventure.
Cheers to you, buddy.
Cheers, buddy.
Oh, delicious. Whew.
Vodka. Yeah, dude, I'm excited. And I want this first episode that we're dropping. It's a short one, but I really want to just get in and talk about why we're nerds and, what we expect to do with this show. And so I'm going to let you go ahead and kind of, explain your background of your nerddom.
I'm going to start with our background, you and me, okay. Why we're doing this show, because I feel like for how many years now, there's just comic book movies in general, nerd movies in general. If there's anybody I'm like, who do I want to talk to with? It's going to be you. And this show is going to put our friendship to the test, because you are, as much as a Marvel fan you are, you're also a diehard Batman fan as well. Probably not as much as Marvel, but if you were to go to DC and you were to be like, if I'm going to choose somebody, screw Superman, I'm going to go with Batman. So this is where you and I butt heads, which is fine. I guess that's fine. We'll take our beef out into the world, but no, man, I can't even, probably since birth. I mean, parents didn't have much, so what did we do? We had one VHS that I would watch consistently, because at my dad's house, there was Western movies, and then there was the one copy of Superman that he bought me from '87. So back then, I mean, you're either outside, which a lot of kids don't do anymore because they have everything. Yeah. But you're either outside or you're watching TV. Back then, TV was Channel 3 and whatever else you can get for reception deep in West Valley. So it was Superman. 24. I can recite the entire movie just because I watched it so many times. There was that at my dad's house. I couldn't take that to my mom's house. So at mom's, it was the Transformers movie. You ever watch that one? The original cartoon movie?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, man. The soundtrack. Oh, just mint. So it was, and then there I spent the weekdays with my mom. So you had after school shows. So that was Power Rangers, Turtles to an extent. And then you had Saturday morning cartoons at my dad's, which was Transformers, Beast Wars by the time we were in grade school.
Right.
I think I could catch Super Friends every now and then. And then, I mean, ever since then, anything Superman that comes on, which I'm not as spoiled as Batman fans to have a movie every 3 to 4 years, but I was, Smallville was a big part of teenage years going into early 20s. And so I was spoiled, and I got Superman every week for 10 years. Jesus Christ. And then you had, you had Brandon Routh's Superman Returns, which, But I was excited at the time. I was jazzed because there was a new suit, but once that honeymoon phase goes away, you're like, that suit kind of sucked. And then Man of Steel came out. He's right up there. Yep. And then you had Batman versus Superman, which we're gonna have to have a show dedicated to that movie.
Oh,
probably the Snyderverse movies in general. We're gonna have to talk about that. But man, ever since just Superman in '87. I mean, he was born in '87, so I've been a Superman fan my entire life, and I've never grown out of it. Comics. I had comics out the ass. You just had people read books. I read comics. Don't talk to me. I mean, they had pictures and they were awesome.
Yeah, no, and I 100% think that. And it's funny is where we grew up. There wasn't a whole lot of we didn't grow up in a big city. We didn't grow up in the big city lifestyle. That's not what we were from. And we've been friends for quite a long time before I moved away, and we've gotten to nerd out a lot more since then because of the nerd culture now is just a huge thing.
It's huge.
It's huge. And I had kind of a somewhat similar. I was more of a video game nerd as a kid. My parents are only 15 years older than me, so they were growing up when I was growing up, and so a lot of it was video games and shit like that. But we'll get to that. We'll talk a lot of video games and nerdy shit because COD Squad is a big part of my lifestyle, and you're one of the guys who jumps into our squad and plays with us when we play. And
I'm a backup hitter, everybody.
We love it. We love having you, and we're actually gonna need more. One of our friends is jumping on the Diablo train, so we're gonna have an opening on the COD Squad coming up. So we'll get you in there more. But Batman the Animated Series was what really got me into the comic world. And Batman will forever be my favorite DC character. The Joker is probably my favorite villain of all time and across both spectrums. And we got Harley Quinn. She wasn't in the comic books. She was generated from Batman Animated Series. And I love Harley Quinn. That version of Harley Quinn. The newer version's cool. I get it. They're, updated, sexy, whatever. But the Harley Quinn, that was what was cool for me. But Iron Man speaks to me on a whole other level, especially because of what I do for a living and where I live and just my lifestyle in general. I love it. The playboy, philanthropist, billionaire, that whole scenario.
Goatee. I love when you had the goatee.
I know I've gone full beard, full hair, but I did have the goatee, the short hair, the suit. I was kind of, in the intro, for those of you who watched the intro, I was Iron Man for Halloween. I was suit for the first part of that Halloween. I was in a suit with the costume underneath, and then like halfway through I did a costume change. It came out as Iron Man, and it was this whole deal. And I like it. But what I'm really excited for this show is the fact that not only do you and I get to nerd out, because we're going to talk about not only the different series we watched, but the Snyderverse, Smallville. I know we'll talk about The Flash, the movie when it comes out, but also the TV series on WB, The Arrow. We're going to cover the entire spectrum of nerd culture because this is for all nerd kind. But the best part about it too, and for those of you watching, we want guests to come on here and nerd out with us. And the whole idea, the whole idea behind it for me, especially, and I know we've talked about it, is to have our guests come on, tell us what they're nerdy about, and give them a platform to talk about it. Because besides you and I, we talk to each other, and I talk to Moose, who will be on a big part of it, but people still don't have that nerd conversations every day in everyday life. They don't get to nerd out about what they're so passionate about.
Yep.
And I want this platform to be that. So for those of you watching, reach out to me, Cousin Ryan 2021 on Twitter. Let's talk. Let's nerd out. It's for all nerd kind. Talk nerdy to me. That's seriously, people often. But we'll also go over nerd news. We'll talk about the things that are happening in the world of Marvel, of DC, of video games, of whatever. Like, we'll just talk about it. We'll bring that up. We're not going to spoil things for people. There's going to be no spoilers for movies. I know you just went and saw this new Spider-Verse movie, and we'll talk about that more in detail in later episodes because we don't want to ruin it for people yet. But it's what we'll do.
Spoiler-free review. Go see it. It's if you love art. I mean, anybody who's picked up a comic, you love some sort of art. It's beautiful. Every scene you could hit pause and you can make it a wallpaper. Like, the art blew me away. The different kinds of art, like, if they don't win some sort of award for it, somebody's fucking out because it's amazing. It's a little long for an animated movie. You think animated movie, you're thinking, hour and a half. It's 2 hours and like 15 minutes. And it does drag in a few spots, but man, everything it does works. The story isn't so convoluted, the whole thing. nowadays it's just multiverse. You've got multiverse in everything that is comics related nowadays, any movie related. Something like Marvel, their phase, what, 5, 6, and 7 is all based on multiverse. The Spider-Man movie, multiverse. The last Tom Holland movie is multiverse. CW shows, which you did bring that up earlier, it just ended, so I have to take a drink for CW versus they were on air for what, 10, 11 years, something like that. Started with Arrow, and it's finally over. So I mean, just it was great. Everybody go see it. Come back in a couple weeks, month, whatever. We'll have an episode about it. Got to, because right now I was telling Ryan right before this. Last weekend was Spider-Man. This weekend is, this weekend's Transformers. Next weekend's The Flash, and then that's 3 months of just stuff to talk about. Because by that time, probably in a month, we can talk about Spider-Man. Month after that, talk about Transformers. Month after that, hopefully everybody's seen The Flash. I kind of want to start with Flash first, like you were saying. Just go see it, then come here. Don't come here and then go see it, because I'm going to ruin it. Sorry.
Well, and that's kind of the plan is, we want to do this episode, we do this show at least once a month is our plan, and to put it in the middle of the month and talk about the things that have happened months prior. So when this airs, this will air a week before The Flash. So the next episode everyone will see, we're going to go deep detail of The Flash. It'll be a month later. We'll probably, film it a couple weeks after The Flash comes out, but it's going to be a deep detail. So make sure you go see the movie, and we'll put in the comments what we're going to talk about. So if you want to watch it or you want to wait, we'll kind of give you a heads up of what the topic of conversation is. And not only are we going to talk about the movies, but for me, as a giant nerd, we're going to talk about a lot of the comic books too and how they relate to the movies. In this closet back here, I have a collection of about 600 to 700 different comic book series across the different spectrum of Marvel, DC. I have a Star Wars, the Dark Horse comic book. So we will cover all of those things in this show and talk about people are nerdy about, especially because rumor has it Star Wars is coming back. So, with Hayden Christensen and Mark Hamill and, oh my goodness, Rey, the actress that plays Rey.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Daisy Ridley.
Ridley.
Yep, Daisy Ridley.
Yeah, she's coming back. And so, we're going to talk about that. And I know what I'm really excited for, we have a few guests lined up. One wants to talk about Superman, and I'm really excited to hear that conversation with you guys about Superman and kind of lead the way. As you saw that, and we were talking about this backstage before the show started. I was going through my comic books, and I have a lot more Superman than I thought. So I might be a little bit more involved.
He's a closet Superman fan, guys. Don't let the Batman trash talking deter you throughout these episodes. I told him before, this is going to test our friendship, because every time I bring up Batman or Superman, he shits on Superman. Just takes a shit.
Really hard.
So that's when I stopped texting him, but then I'll text him a day later. But no, this is awesome. This is great. I'm in for video games, because video games, like I'm sure you saw the new Spider-Man footage.
Oh, yeah.
It looks great. Like you said, Star Wars is coming back. I mean, Star Wars has been quietly making a comeback in terms of shows. I mean, The Mandalorian, which I don't know very many people who don't like it. There's you had Boba Fett. Everybody tuned into that. They made it awesome. Ahsoka comes next month, and then you had the Bad Batch for the last week, which I still need to watch. Last couple months,
amazing. I love it.
Yep. So they're making a comeback, and now they just announced those movies with Daisy Ridley and a couple other ones. There's a Taika Waititi movie coming. After Thor. If it's as silly, I'm not in. Like, he's got to come out and he's got to say, even there was a article I read today, Chris Hemsworth, he was just like, we had too much fun. It became too silly, and you could tell. So he's got to tone it down for Star Wars, or, they haven't officially announced it. He says it's happening, but, they might be a little hesitant after Thor, because you knock it out of the park with Ragnarok, and then you go to the wasted talent of Christian Bale as Gore, the God Butcher. That movie had so much potential. Like, it could have, they could have done so much more. But that's for another episode.
Well, and that's the thing is, so I don't want to give too much away because I have, for those of you who follow me already across the different spectrum of things that I've done, Moose, when he comes on, I know he will bring up Guardians of the Galaxy or not only like Jeff, but Thor, because he has some super love for Waika Waititi and the Thor movies, and I give him shit constantly for him. So it'll be fun to have him on. I know he'll be a recurring guest, and I invite all of you again, encourage you, please just reach out to me, reach out to Josh, come on the show, come talk to us, come nerd out. Let's just do those things. And I have a lot of feelings about a lot of the nerd stuff that's happening and what nerdom has become. And what's funny is it's normalized now. Nerddom is completely normalized, where when we were younger, and granted we're not that old, but when we were younger in high school, middle school, it was like a derogatory kind of thing, but now everyone wants to be a fucking nerd.
Yep, you couldn't do it. So I invite anybody who's a closet nerd, like you just have nobody to talk to. You love seeing the movies, you have people go with you, but in the end you walk out and you're like, I want to talk to somebody about it. Come on the show. Like, I consider myself a closet nerd. I mean, if you know me, that's not the case. You come to my house, you see that shit. I got tattoos just like you. I've got comic books laying over here. On this damn thing, I probably have, like you said, 600 or 700 comics. I wish I could keep paperback, but my kid got a hold of one, and I was like, nope, I can't. You ruined one. If I were to have a collectible one, you're gonna want to take it out of the case, and you're gonna want to ruin it. I can't do it. So comic books is at least a couple times a week before bed, just laying there, and I'm like, oh, what's new? So anybody who sees the show and you're like, oh, I love Spider-Man, but I have nobody to talk to, come on the show. Like, hit Ryan up, hit me up. I don't care. Just come on out, because like Ryan was saying, it's not taboo anymore. Everybody is in it in some respect. You don't have to be a super nerd. You don't have to have years and years of collections. You just have to want to talk about it, because a lot of people, you can't talk about it to you, and things from comics, things from anything. Just reach out.
Right. And that's the thing is, so the guests who reach out, you get to pick the topic for the day. Josh and I will obviously always have episodes going to things that we want to talk about. We'll include things into the episodes as we do. But as the guest, this is your platform to talk about nerdy. And you know what it is. I know one person I've already reached out to me who wants to talk about Dragon Ball Z. I'm 100% down. I don't know much about it. I'm going to do the research, obviously, because, I know some of it. I've watched quite a few, but I want to get deeper into it, because that's the cool thing to get nerdy about. And I'm there for it. And if you know it, cool. That's even better. Pokemon's another one. People don't like to talk about that they're huge fans of Pokemon. I'm a hardcore Pokemon fan. So I don't act like it, but let's fucking do it too. Let's just talk. Let's get nerdy and talk about these things that are important to people, and they don't get the chance to have that platform. So that's what I'm really super excited about this show. We wanted to keep today light. We wanted to keep today, this first episode, this intro episode, kind of down to earth, just to tell you what everyone's about. But I'm excited. I don't know if anyone can tell, but I'm excited to talk about this nerdy shit, man. Like, I'm ready to go.
The fact that you said somebody wants to talk about Dragon Ball, oh my God. I do not have anybody to talk to about Dragon Ball, because they put out a new movie this last year. Was it last year? Yeah. And but the one before that, they knocked it out of the park, and I've been watching that since what's that? What was that old DVR? TiVo. Parents had a TiVo, so that was like the first one that I could actually like record Dragon Ball Z. So I got into the Cell arc, and you got a lot of catching up to do, because it's awesome.
Well, so I have it saved. I have all of it downloaded and saved. I'm ready to go through it, start watching it again. Because it's been a minute. It was something I watched a lot as a kid. Another one that I know I want to bring someone on at some point, we've talked about, was Power Rangers. You think about the expansion of what Power Rangers was, and how long that's been running. I actually just watched the newest version that came out on Netflix like last month. Power Rangers, Once and Always, or whatever. The new Power Rangers.
I still need to watch that.
It was corny, but it was nostalgic as fuck, and I love the shit out of it. So like for me, it hit home, especially with Jason David Frank passing away, unfortunately, a month ago, 2 months ago. You know, I'm glad they did it, and you got to check it out. We'll have to bring it up and talk about that too, because that was pretty legit. Kind
Did
of.
you know that? Did you know that he was filming a movie? Something White Dragon or something like that.
Legacy of the White Dragon or like something like
Yeah.
that. His daughter's in it supposedly.
Yeah, so if that ever comes out, I'm gonna have to watch it. Just cause, and I mean, say what you will, but he may have taken that role just maybe a tiny bit far.
Mhm.
But you gotta love it. His commitment. He was more committed than any of them. I mean, he rode. I'm not saying he rode coattails, but he rode his own coattails for quite a while with that character. But there's comics. I've been wanting to check out the comics. You know, there's Power Ranger comics.
Yep,
And
I have a few of those as well.
I need to get those. Like, you know,
They're
he
cool.
did an evil version of him. Like, there's just so much he talked about. He dives so deep. And then again, multiverse. So all these different universes with just different Power Rangers. There's so much to talk about. We could do this for years and still play catch up with all the shit that's coming out.
Like, and I'm excited, you know, because there is so much that's happening. You know, like I was mentioning earlier, a small section of our shows will be the Nerd News Network is what I'm going to call it, and you know, we're talking about the new things that are coming out, but you know, and also like little trivia things, like for Power Rangers, kind of throw it out there right now. The original Japanese version of it, the Green Ranger died. Like he didn't know that thing. He died. And so, you know, we'll bring that up and we'll talk about that too. But what America did with the Power Rangers was completely different than what the original Power Ranger storyline was. So I'm excited to get into that one. I'm excited to get into, you know, Iron Man, excited to get into Superman.
You got comics. You got comics.
I know. I'll go back and read it. And you know, and that's the cool thing too, is like to be able to talk about not only the movies, but also compare them to like what we mentioned, like what the comic books we're supposed to do, and how different and varied the comic books were from the movies. But the source material is incredible if you look at it, you know?
Yeah, for anybody going to go see The Flash, if there's a comic you wanted to pick up, it'd probably be Flashpoint. Mm-hmm. I mean, great story arc. Like that was when you kind of realized how powerful Barry is. Like you've always known, but like in that arc, like I know he's got his own solo series, but I didn't read very much of those. But when Flashpoint came out, and I was like, this changes everything, and you know, it wasn't a crisis because DC just does crisis after crisis after crisis. But it wasn't one of those. It was its own thing, and it was huge. Like just across nerdom in general. Like Flashpoint came out, and every page was like, what's going to fucking happen next? And the way they ended it and rebooted everything. I've obviously no one's seen The Flash yet, those who are lucky, but it's directly, how do I say it? You know, it has to deal with Flashpoint. They got the idea from Flashpoint.
I mean, that's kind of what it is. It led up to it in Batman versus Superman.
Yep, exactly. And I mean, it was such a good comic, and I know that it's going to take its own liberties, but you know, it also just touches on what if you could go back and save somebody, you know, and then it just shows like the butterfly effect of everything, and it was awesome.
Well,
so
and for those of you who are watching too, go back and watch the WB's version of the Flash. They did Flashpoint, and it was incredible. They also did Crisis on Infinite Earths, which was a little different than the comic book series, and we'll talk about that because I own the comic book series, the 1980s, the original version of the series. I own most of the collection, and we'll go back and talk about that too. But you know, they're taking from the source material for these movies and having some creative liberty, but they still did a great job, I think, and I'm hoping the Flash does something similar. I'm really excited for the Flash because I'm a huge fan of Barry Allen. Ezra Miller aside. And you know that whole bullshit. I'm excited.
Careful.
We did. I know. Whatever. You know.
Yeah.
As we did what he did, but the movie itself should speak for itself.
Yeah, and you know, I've told my wife this before. You know, like I kind of don't care to an extent. I don't care what any actor's personal life is. Like my biggest point in case. Look at Tom Cruise, fucking weirdo.
Mhm.
But do I watch like all of his movies? Yes. Was Top Gun 2 amazing? Yes. Is he pretty much, has he ever had like an era of his prime? Because you could say Top Gun and like Cocktail back in his day was his prime, but then you look at the Mission Impossible movies
Oh, yeah.
first one he was he was in his prime, and then you go to the latest ones like Dead Reckoning, amazing. You look at Top Gun 2, so Tom Cruise just knocks it out of the park, but just a fucking weirdo, right? But with Ezra, everybody do your own research on Ezra, because it's kind of, we probably shouldn't talk about it too much, but he's done some questionable things. There's a reason why they're promoting it, and all you see is Ben Affleck, all you see is Michael Keaton, Sasha Calle, Supergirl. They're not really showing or talking to Ezra, and it's for a reason. So, without us having to talk about it, read up on it, and then come watch the show, because
Well, and
there's going to be things we have to ignore.
I'm gonna make a prediction right now for those of you who do know what Flashpoint does. It's possible that Flashpoint, this whole series, will set up replacing Ezra Miller as Barry Allen, because Flashpoint, changes the past. So
Yep.
who knows? Who knows what's gonna happen? You have the two Batmans in it, and then you don't have Superman, you have Supergirl. So you never know what's gonna happen in this series. I know. I really wish they brought Superman back, but it is what it is, and we'll see. The movie comes out in a few weeks. When this posts, it'll probably be a week and a half before the movie comes out, so we'll find out after the fact. So the next episode, we'll talk about it in a lot of detail.
Yeah, because there's been, going to nerdy sites, they have scoops on stuff, and I will tell those who are watching, every DC movie you've seen, well, I guess there hasn't really been anything really since they announced they're going to wipe everything clean with James Gunn, but this movie supposedly introduces you to the new universe. So James Gunn from Guardians of the Galaxy, all three of those, he signed on to be, DC's movie kind of president. So he's got full control. He's the Kevin Feige of Marvel now. So, he's going to wipe everything clean. New Superman, new Batman. Haven't announced anything on Aquaman, Jason Momoa, Ezra Miller. What are they going to do with him? Does anybody stick around from before? They've just been saying there's so many changes to the Flash from what it used to be. There's so many changes with Aquaman. Aquaman comes out in December, and you haven't seen a trailer.
Yeah.
And behind the scenes, scoopers say that it's a mess, and the director just says we're having to adjust with everything new happening down the line. With Shazam almost, I liked it. The third act was great.
I loved it.
But the first and second act was just kind of a little slow to me, and then, who knows what they changed, but it didn't get a good box office, because those who do know that the universe is being reset, they're like, well, why do I need to see this? And I don't disagree with you, but I had to see it anyways. Of course,
we'll see, and we'll see, and it's completely possible, and people don't talk about it, but it's completely possible the pandemic screwed a lot of things up too, because a lot of things had to change in how they filmed, their writing style, the writing strike. The writer strike that's happening right now is affecting a lot of things. So who knows? But before I forget, and I'm gonna throw it out there too. There's a group that I follow on YouTube, good friends of mine, Bite Size Breakdown. Go find their YouTube channel. Last month, I think it was last month, the month before, they had an interview with James Gunn's brother,
Sean Gunn
Kraglin from Guardian. They did an interview with him, and they talked about Guardian. So go check it out. It was a really good interview. Great group of people who talk about their movies and give their insights. So it's another group. We'll have quite a few of them on as well, because they're very deep into the nerd world. So I'm really excited, man. I'm so excited about this. Like, it's gonna be so much fun.
Me too. I'm stoked, and anybody watching this, tell those that you think might be nerds. Tell if they like the Spider-Man movies, just tune in. It's just me and Ryan bullshitting. This isn't anything new. Like, it's just a longer text message. Is basically what it is.
Yeah, and that's basically what it is, and why this came about is we text back and forth about nerdy shit. So we thought, you know what? Why not? Let's have a platform to where we can talk about it face to face and get other people involved, and have the different people's different perspectives of their nerd world. So It's gonna be so much fun. Like this was fun just talking and bullshitting and catching up right now about what we're gonna do. So I can't imagine what an actual episode of what we're gonna talk about when we pick a topic and deep dive.
I feel like I've just gone on a tangent about 4 different things now, and I just want to not stop. So
right, no, I feel that 100% feel that. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a lot of fun, and
stoked.
Sometime in later this year, my goal is sometimes later this year, because I know we've talked about some joint adventures as well, as we may do a live show of talking nerd stuff when we go do something. So you never know, people. Live shows are a thing that might be happening not only for Beyond the Neon Veil, but for all nerd kind as well, because Josh and I will see each other sometime, a few times this year before the year is out. We'll nerd out a little bit more. We'll do it in person, and we'll do those things. Shit, we might have to do a live show of watching something and picking it apart as we're watching it, a live commentary. I'd be 100% down for that as well. So
I'm in.
We'll have to do that. Granted, YouTube's a little weird about that stuff, so we'll have to figure out how we're going to make it work. But we're going to have some fun. So, Josh, before we call it a night, because I know we've gone a little longer than we initially talked about, and we don't want to give too much away with what our conversations are going to be in the future, because we've already kind of given a lot of high overview of our feelings about certain things. What is there anything you want to say to people out there before we call it a night?
Thanks for tuning in. I mean, this is going to be fun. You know, I get that, you know, it's just you and me. And I mean, I think we can do great things. I just need people to just take a gander. I mean, even if you're not a nerd fan, you're probably one of our friends. And, you know, it's like you're hanging out with us. No,
you know, it's funny you say that, because I've actually had a few of my friends who like to listen into my conversations with my cousin, with Moose, and when we talk about nerd stuff, because we give perspectives that they don't think about. And that's what I'm excited about you is, and people who listen, is we're coming at this at 2 separate angles, man, on how we view things. And it gives people the opportunity that we're not going to agree on everything. I already know that for a fucking fact, and I'm excited to get to those things. So for those of you who have different opinions than us, come talk about it, because that's the whole purpose of change my mind about something. If you can change my mind about Superman, I'll let you change my mind about Superman. We'll see.
Yeah, and if be sure to leave a comment. I'll reply. I'll reply all day long. Like, I will keep an eye on this video, all the videos, because I'm pretty strict on that. That first episode we did of Beyond the Neon Veil, I still check on that. How many views we got, how many likes we got. So, you know, I'm always looking. So if you want to talk some shit to me online, do it. I'll come back at you. But no, this is going to be great. I cannot wait. Be sure whoever is watching, like and subscribe if Superman is the absolute GOAT. And then whatever Ryan says.
Yeah. I'm excited for it, and I hope you're all excited for it. I hope you guys do reach out to me. Again, you can find Josh here on the channel. Comment. He'll reply back to you. If you're looking for me, I'm on the channel as well, but also reach out to me on Twitter at CousinRyan2021. That's where I schedule all of our things for the show, and we'll repost it. You guys are going to see us blow this thing up all over social media once we launch. So when this episode comes out, well, you'll see it. For me, it's going to be on freaking Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Find me, talk to me. Let's do this thing. Thanks, everyone, for watching today. Again, I'm Cousin Ryan. This is my homie, Josh. We're excited. We'll see you guys all later for All Nerd Kind. We'll see you next time.